All right, so let's talk about this new blockchain that's coming onto the scene. So what is it? So it's Sui blockchain, which is supposed to be a fast, scalable, smart contract platform that's going to have a cryptocurrency, of course, associated with it that is yet to be released. So let's talk about the who, what, where, when, why about this so that you can understand, what you need to know. And then I'm going to talk about sort of my actual opinions at, first impressions at this so that you can make up your own mind what you think about it. All right, so first let's talk about the what. All right, so Sui is a layer 1 blockchain smart contract platform. So again, it's a blockchain in and of itself, just like Bitcoin or just like Ethereum. So, it's a peer-to-peer network of nodes that all talk to one another. It has a cryptocurrency that's, responsible for running that so you can do transactions, but it supports smart contracts. So you can create programs and put them on the blockchain, backbone of any decentralized application. You can connect a wallet with it to a website. You can buy NFTs, trade them, send tokens around, do DeFi. So pretty much the same experience that you're used to on a blockchain like Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Avalanche, Solana. It's the same type of thing. So let's talk about the why. Why do we need another blockchain that does basically the same thing? Well, they have a novel approach to scaling. Okay, we'll talk about that here in a minute and actually how it works, and then also how transaction fees work. Okay, there's a lot of people who think that nobody's, perfectly cracked the scalability trilemma of fast, cheap transactions that's also secure and decentralized. So we'll cover those here in a minute, but that's the why. And crossing over into the who, who is creating this? Well, this is Miston Labs. I hope I'm saying that right. Which is an organization that's formed by different players from the blockchain efforts behind Meta or previously Facebook. Okay. So if you ever seen anything about Facebook's past efforts of the Libra or DM stablecoin and the blockchain associated with this, these were products that never really went to market. You have some key players from these past efforts who have created Miston Labs, I hope I'm saying that right, who have now come out with the Sui blockchain. All right, so now let's talk about the how. How does Sui work? What are the benefits that it claims to do better than other, available solutions out there? So I'm going to take these diagrams straight from the Miston Labs YouTube channel, so total full credit to where these diagrams are coming from. But let's talk about how blockchain transactions work in most blockchains right now. So let's talk about any simple transaction. Let's say that I want to send cryptocurrency from my account to yours. So most blockchains, whenever that happens, that creates a transaction that gets included into a block and, it just gets included in the public ledger. Again, a blockchain is just a bundles of records called transactions that are grouped together in blocks to make up the blockchains. So whenever those transactions are processed, they happen one by one or sequentially. So if I send cryptocurrency to you, that's one transaction that gets included into a block. And let's say somebody else does a token trade on a decentralized exchange. That's the next transaction, and it gets included after the one that I just sent. Okay, so that's what sequential transactions mean. But what Sui does is it takes all these transactions and does parallel execution. So instead of just having to do one transaction after the other, you can do lots of transactions at one time that eventually get settled onto the main state. So it does it through organizing data into independent objects. You can see, example of that here on a screen, so that it gives scalability through horizontal. And basically each, node in the network has the ability to scale out where they can do this independent objects and also, have workers that can be spun up on demand to help increase the throughput. So this is definitely a novel approach on how they're doing it. Of course, they're not the first blockchain to talk about parallel transaction processing. We'll talk about that here in a minute when I give you my own thoughts, but that's what their initial implementation looks like. So another unique thing about their implementation is how they handle gas fees. So right now, one of the big complaints about most blockchains is that they're too expensive to use for most things. At least that's the big complaint about something like Ethereum, because Ethereum, has gas. You have to pay gas whenever you do transactions. And so, that gas price goes up and down based on network demand. So if a lot of people are trying to use the blockchain at one time, then, gas prices go up. And of course, this happens to pretty much every other blockchain. Whenever a lot of people start using it, you see these spikes in gas prices, and they tend to happen on a moment by moment basis. So you might go to try to create a transaction that costs, X amount, and then, 5 seconds later, the price wildly increases or wildly decreases. So they have a different approach by using something called epochs. Okay. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to pull up this tweet there on my screen. I'll put a link to this down in the resources for full credit. So basically, Sui runs in epochs. Every 24 hours, the validator set changes. At that time, new epochs validators vote on a reference gas price for the entire epoch. So the protocol then provides a number of incentives to validators to keep transactions fees close to the reference point throughout the entire epoch. And so the whole idea here is that it's going to keep gas prices relatively stable for like a 24-hour period rather than watching them just go up and down moment by moment.